Welcome back to the Urban Grind Radio. It's the pride of the East Side, DJ MH to the Wild Smash Cash. Wow, you still activated?
I'm always activated, bro. You know what it is.
Wow, we got special guests in the building right now, man.
Okay.
From the Chicago Vintage Show, we got Eddie Partita and Ken Mottet. How you guys doing, fellas?
Doing very well, sir.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome to Urban Grind Radio.
It's a pleasure to be here, and first of all, I want to plead innocent of all charges.
I'm not the judge or the jury, so you innocent on my end.
Okay.
He's like, wait, you got charges up already, or just in case?
Just in case.
Just in case. I like how you forward thinking. Look, you bleed the fifth. I ran with that one too.
Absolutely.
And I'll drink the fifth. But
I know. Fifth of what?
Good question. Fifth of what?
whatever you got.
Look, come on.
My kind of party.
Absolutely. No, it's a pleasure to be here. This is great. I'm having a wonderful time.
Thank you guys for coming. So, the Chicago Vintage Show, what is it?
Well, let the man who created it tell the story. Eddie?
Well, I ran into this incredible, talented man, Ken Mottet. He plays in a country western band, and he's locally known as the mayor of rockabilly. There's rockabilly.
It's a humorous title. It's all good fun.
It's an underground thing happening, and it took me by surprise. I kind of followed it back in the 90s, and I lost it. Okay. And then I found it again. It was happening even better. It's music from the 50s, the 40s, the root stuff that rock and roll was made out of.
When Elvis was a teenager, that kind of stuff. And the most recent time that it's been popular is when the Stray Cats came out in the 80s.
That's the 80s, yeah.
Everybody was putting on bowling shirts and slicking their hair back and getting tattoos.
So it never really died.
Their jeans.
When it came out about in the 40s, 50s, 60s, it's still been going. It's just not mainstream.
It's one of those underground things. It's like heavy metal music. Whether it's popular and it's on the radio, there's still going to be people who want to listen to it.
Absolutely.
Same thing as punk, and there's this hip hop scene in Chicago, and I guess what Urban Grind TV is about, and we want to talk about each other's shows.
Absolutely.
Definitely. So what made you dab into Chicago vintage as far as the rockabilly and the rock and roll from the early 30s, 40s, 50s?
Well, for me, I fell into the music when I was a kid, all the way back in the 1970s, when the music that was on the radio just didn't appeal to me. What we now call classic rock just didn't set off any. Didn't hit my monkey nerve, as Keith Richards used to like to say.
Okay.
And then I stumbled into the earliest records that Elvis made when he was a teenager back in the 50s, and there was something about it. It seemed real. It was simple. You didn't have to be too smart to understand it, and it moved me.
Okay.
And once I, through the help of some friends, was brought to Chicago in the early 80s and saw that there was a small but very active rockabilly scene in Chicago, guys with tattoos and pompadours driving around in cars from the 50s just as their everyday cars.
Right.
And I thought, these guys are the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I thought I got to make a show about it.
Yeah. And so, the decades come, the decades go. We used to have an event that happened once a month at a club called Martyrs. It was a thing called the Big C Jamboree. And it was a live music event where the rockabilly musicians would get together. And I was lucky enough to MC that for the full 25 years.
Okay.
And then I'm an old man. I'll admit. I'm an old man. But fortunately, rockabilly is music for young people, old people. Eddie came along just in the last year or so and said, we need to have a show on YouTube that can show people what this rockabilly thing, what this lifestyle is. Okay. And because once you get introduced to it, if it connects for you, then you go, oh, there are other people like this stuff too. So it's not just me sitting at home listening to these Bill Haley records. There's all kinds of people that are interested in this stuff. It's still an underground thing. Mm-hmm. It's not a lot of people, but still, when there are 10 of you, that's a lot more fun when there's just one of you.
So Absolutely. Wait, okay, so now, because I like how you say he did this. So he pretty much put the past with the present right now. He added it with technology pretty much. Because it wasn't really seen in the technical
how can
world.
I reach younger audience? Because I don't want this to go extinct. It's been going on for a long time. Mm-hmm. And how do I reach the young people? And it's social media, and I need to make a show with social media.
Eddie is the brains of the operation.
I'm not as old. I haven't been around
face.
as long as Ken, but in the '80s, I got inspired by movies like Grease and Hairspray, and then Back to the Future came in, and that just blew my mind. It's like I want to live in the '50s.
Right.
And I learned everything about the '50s and during the '90s. Elvis, and then I went further back in the early 2000s and 40s and 30s, where all the roots came. And eventually, even rockabilly can be dated back to Africa. So it's all its roots.
Absolutely.
Dang.
Music today is because of what was in the past, and the past hasn't died. It's still here.
Yes, I like that. So now, what does this show on YouTube consist of then, pretty much?
Eddie really said, well, it's just gonna be like a modern day version of Johnny Carson hosting the Tonight Show, but instead of guys who are on there talking about the movies that they made, we'll have guys who build hot rod cars talking about their thing, or tattoo artists who work in the vintage style, or people that teach people how to dance in the 50s style, like swing dance and jive and all that stuff. And then we'll have live bands as well, because there are a number of bands in the Chicago area and around the United States who play this kind of stuff. I don't know why, because there's not that much money to be made.
It's for the passion. We have...
it's a passion, right?
Yeah. People can't help themselves.
We have 13 episodes booked. For this season, we're starting to work on a second season because there's so many more. There's not a lot of bands, but there's more than 13.
Right. Okay.
And it's going to be like recorded live because the band is playing live.
Exactly.
They're playing 2 sets, and between the sets is when we have the guests and the interviews, similar to this setting. But the band is also involved. And, in the style of Johnny Carson, we had like the Australian guy bring a crocodile.
Right.
We're bringing animal expert, bringing an animal to everybody on the show.
Wow.
And Ken's going to learn, and the public's going to learn about the animal and the band, and it's just a small variety show.
It's going to be something old-timey, but obviously modern, because it's going to be on YouTube and all the different media platforms, and I am looking forward to it.
Now, do y'all have, will it be a live studio audience? Or
Yeah.
Right, hold on. I got to be in one of these episodes. I watch this type of stuff. Yeah, just let me know. Yeah, because I always wanted to be in one.
There's something about, people. People make better show business than an empty room.
Right,
the band is playing while dancers are performing in front of it. It's a choreographed dance, like a Soul Train bandstand kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And those are the sets, and in between is the interviews, and we learn some about rockabilly.
And it's going to be shot at a club called the Outer Space that's located in Berwyn. It's right in the Depot District in Berwyn. Aaron, who's the owner over there, has been nice enough to say, hey, you can use this as your venue. And it's a great club. And
it's got a bar.
Yeah.
So a great place to get that feel from.
Yeah. Eddie had to twist my arm. He said, well, there'll be liquor. I said, okay, I'm in.
Right.
So, Ken, how much fun are you having with doing the show?
I've done other shows before, going all the way back to, when I was a kid back in the 70s, when I was doing commercial radio, to a stint of time when I hosted a cable access show called The Other Side, which was an alternative rock music video show.
Okay.
But this live show, working with Eddie and bands and an audience, I couldn't. This is like my whole show business career has been leading up to this. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a gas.
All right.
I agree.
Now I feel the energy off this one here, man. I can't wait to check this out.
It's all about the heart and soul that Eddie has for this music, and that I have for this music, and that all the people involved are feeling.
Eddie, this the only show you created?
So far, it's gonna be an empire, but it starts with one show.
Yeah, we have this one season, working on the second season, and stuff is coming.
Where can people find you guys at on social media, and when the show airs, where can they find it at?
You can basically Google Chicago Vintage Show. There you can also find us on Instagram and Facebook, the same name, Chicago Vintage Show.
Okay. What about your personal social media? You want to get that out?
The only thing I can say is that I'm part of like he said, a traditional country and western band called the Gin Palace Jesters. And we're on Facebook, and there's a website that's gin-palace-jesters.com.
How long you been with them?
At this point, I have wasted 15 years of my life playing country and western music. Boy, if you want to, if you're in the music business to make money, don't play traditional country and western music because you are going to starve. But it's like Eddie said, we do it because it's the music that's in our hearts. Mm-hmm. We can't help ourselves.
So Chicago Vintage is also going to have not just rock and roll music from the 50s, but anything that was happening during that time in the 40s, rock, western swing, swing music, big band music, rockabilly, all this stuff was happening.
Traditional jazz,
traditional
surf
jazz,
bands.
yes.
There are just a lot of people out there playing these traditional styles of music that, again, like Eddie keeps saying, that they do it because that's where their heart is.
Okay.
They like it when they get paid, but it's really because that's where their heart is. They can't help themselves.
Eddie, you're a musician as well, correct?
Musician.
Musician, you play every instrument. From what I told you,
string instruments.
Okay.
And I argue saying that piano is also a string instrument. There's some people who say it's a percussion. Nah, they don't know what they're talking about.
It's strings.
It does have strings. Absolutely.
Talk that real talk. Okay.
And he plays the upright bass, and he plays guitar, and
yeah, I'm notoriously known for the upright bass that's always broken, and I'm always putting it together and playing.
How long you been playing instruments, and what got you into it?
Well, rockabilly music, of course. I've been playing since high school. I was self-taught. I tell all the kids, I'm a teacher now, and I tell all the kids, I have to ride my bike to the library, take out a book to learn how to read and play music. Yeah. Nowadays, you can just Google how to play a guitar.
Exactly.
And the kid, if he really wants to, he just learns from there.
Yeah.
I still had to ride my bike to see the guitar teacher, and the guy was just ripping me off. I wish there was YouTube back then.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm telling you.
I actually studied guitar with a full-blood hippie in my hometown in the late 70s.
Okay.
And I should have taken a few more lessons, but got me started.
Wow. Yeah. One more time, where can they find you guys out on social media?
Chicago Vintage Show.
Chicago Vintage Show. Eddie P, Eddie Partita, Ken Motti, Urban Grind Radio, DJ Mace to the Wild Smash Cash. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back.
Let's get it.